of the co-chairs of the committee. And thanks for everyone for being here today, both in the room and online. So what we'd like to do first is a land and labor acknowledgement, and Cameron's just now volunteered to do it, which is, thank you for doing that, Cameron. So we'll let you get started and then we'll do introductions.
Yeah, I'll just read the one. I think this is a nice one we have here. It says, oh yeah, so it's on record. Hi everyone. We acknowledge that the land that we now make up the United States of America was traditional home, hunting ground, trade, exchange point, and migration route for more than 574 American Indian and Alaskan Native federally recognized tribes, and many more tribal nations that are not federally recognized or no longer exist. We recognize the cruel legacy of slavery and colonization in our nation, and acknowledge the people whose labor was exploited for generations to help establish the economy of the United States. We honor Indigenous, enslaved, and immigrant peoples' resilience, labor, and stewardship of the land, and commit to creating a future founded on respect, justice, and inclusion for all people as we work to heal the deepest generational wounds. And I would just add that we are currently on Upper Cook Inlet Dena'ina land, and just want to acknowledge the stewardship of the Dena'ina people, both past and current. Thanks.
Great, thanks so much, Cameron. Okay, let's go this way around the room with introductions. Pastor May, you want to start?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Pastor May, as she alluded to, one of the co-chairs of this particular committee. And for those of you who are present, I serve as president of the Denominational Ministerial Alliance of Anchorage and by Senator, as well as the Martin Luther King Jr. Foundation of Alaska.
Hi everyone, I'm Cameron Perez-Garcia. I serve on the Anchorage Assembly, representing the west side of Anchorage.
Hi everyone, my name is Joan Ryan Estate. I am the board president of Alaska's. I am and also part of the Health and Equitables Communities Unit with the state of Alaska. Thank you.
Hello everybody, Luau Dinamavai, Chief Equity Officer for Mixed Valley.
This is Michael Rihana. I'm the Language Access Liaison to the municipality.
Right.
Hello, I'm Erica Berry. I'm the Director of the Office of Equal Opportunity Youth.
Justin?
Jasmine Hakers, staff to the committee and deputy clerk.
Asher Harley, I represent Congregation Beth Shalom.
And we have a few guests. Do you want to just say your names too? Go ahead.
Because that's the Community Relations Director of the municipality.
Great.
I'm Luke Patrick. I'm the Digital Comms Director, or Digital Comms Assistant for Mayor Ross.
Great.
And I'm Ms. Sophia, I'm the yellow people member.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Rosa Quintana.
Oh, sorry, I can't see you behind the pillar. Go ahead.
Rosa Quintana.
Great, thanks for being here. Okay, I'm going to go through the folks online. Teresa?
Hi, this is Teresa Holt from AARP Alaska. Thea, could you say who those, we couldn't hear the folks who.
I don't know if you're comfortable, but normally there's a group over there, but for this meeting, you're welcome to come up and sit here at the table.
Yeah, you're welcome to come up.
This is, we run these meetings a little bit differently, so everybody's kind of welcome, so.
Yeah.
Welcome to-
Yeah, you're welcome to come sit
No
here.
pressure.
They're not
okay.
moving.
We might get their names again on the record when we have audience participation, or we could take a microphone over there, but we'll work on that while other folks are introducing themselves. So, Felix?
Hey everyone, Felix Rivera, Anchorage Assembly, representing Midtown.
Great, thank you. Robbie? Let's see, Rashad?
Rashad Joseph, Civil Rights Office Director, Alaska DOT and PF.
Great, thanks for being here. Taylor?
Hi everyone, Taylor Donovan with Rural Cat.
Great, and Guadalupe?
Hi there, this is Lupe, and I'm just an interested citizen.
Great, thanks for being here. And Marie?
Hello, everyone. Marie Husa and Filipino American member of the Anchorage Equity of the Assembly, representing myself. Good to be here.
Great. Thanks for being here. Anyone else? Yeah. Do you want to? Would you mind sharing your names so people online can know who you are? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Trista Espy. I'm the Community Relations Director for the municipality.
I'm Miss Sophia O'Neill of Eagle River, and I'm deciding whether or not to be a participant of the committee.
Great.
I'm just today here.
Great.
Luke Patrick, I'm the Digital Communications Specialist for Mayor Bronson.
Hi, I'm Rosa Quintana. I'm just a citizen.
Great. Okay. Thanks for being here. And let's see. There's Brittany is joining us as soon as Jasmine gets back to her desk. Great. Welcome, Brittany. We're just doing introductions. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon, Brittany Serralta. I am the Director at the Employment and Training Services Department at Cook Inlet Tribal Council.
Great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else online who I missed?
I'd like to add one thing.
Yes, please do.
Yes, I want to add one thing, and that is at about 10 minutes of 6 and 5 at the latest, I'm going to have to slide.
You're on the panel. Yes, and I'll see you there right afterwards. Okay, great. Let's go to our unfinished business. Actually, since Teresa's on the line, we could decide if we want to just remove this altogether. So Teresa, is there any update on the Change Lab legal analysis, or should we just kind of let that go for now and strike it from the agenda? We've been kind of keeping it tabled.
I think strike it from the agenda.
Okay. It's something maybe we could come back to later if we want to move on it?
I think the opportunity's gone.
Okay, cool.
So,
great.
AARP's not working with them anymore, so
okay.
I don't think we have another chance to work on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. Okay, and then an update on our priority that we identified in our work session in January of working with the Anchorage Health Department. We've been in communication with Director Rash, and she'll be here at our next meeting, and we've shared our kind of initial thoughts with her that we worked on in our subcommittee, and so we'll be diving into that topic at our next meeting, so that's great. Any questions or comments around unfinished business? Okay, let's go on. Are there any new member nominations for the committee to think about? Okay, hearing none. We'll go on to our main business readiness. Oh, Piana, great. Hi, Piana, welcome. Do you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Panelise Jerusi. I am a citizen of Anchorage, not representing any particular organization, and would like to do some progressive work with this committee.
Great. Thanks for being here, Piana.
Sure.
Okay. So tonight for our main community presentation and discussion, we have our Chief Equity Officer here to talk about the language access audit and have some discussion with the committee. So over to you.
Well, thank you, Chair. Thank you to the committee for allowing us to come in here, share some great news and the progress that we've been able to work on the language access plan and really kind of get that process going since coming in office about 2.5 years ago. When we first started for the language access plan, we had, just like everybody else, we needed to get more people in office in order to kind of delegate those roles. So in the beginning, I delegated that to the Office of Equal Opportunity and did a great job ensuring that every department had a language access plan within the municipality to be able to serve our community. That's one. The second thing is once we got Mr. Nassib here, he'll do an introduction to himself. The work that Mr. Nassib has been doing for about 7 months now, 6-7 months, he's created a process that betters the language access plan for the city. We've also created training We've also done that recently, about a week ago, where all municipal frontline departments that are required to have language access plans had to actually learn the process of how to use the resource that we have for the city, and then also make it available for the municipality. So at this time, I'm just going to let Nasib kind of give an introduction to who he is and kind of the progress that he's been able to do. Erica has also been doing a great job working with the federal side of it, with transit, and ensuring that we're compliant in that area too, with the language access plan, so that our federal funding isn't taken away. So Erica has done an amazing job to make sure that we have that locked away. So Erica's also helping out with outreach as well, ensuring we got a plan to be able to kind of use digital media and that kind of stuff within her department to get that out as far as language access plans and the training, that kind of stuff. So as a whole, our offices are working together, OEO and OEJ, to ensure that the language access plan is ready and available. So I'm gonna hand it off to Nasib. He'll do a little introduction of himself, so you'll get to learn about him and the kind of role that he's been doing for the last few months.
Hi, my name is Nasib Okurihana. I'm a first-generation Lebanese American. I've been living in Anchorage for about 20 years now, so it's home, and I really do care about it. I was tagged to be the language access liaison, it looks like back in November. And over that time, I've done some stuff here that I've been really excited and really proud about. When I was first told I'd be in charge of the language access program, I was first, what is that? And then as I kind of learned more about it, I just kind of got more excited about it, just kind of recognizing the importance of the program. And yeah, I'm just, very humbled and both proud to be the language access liaison for the municipality. Since November, my main goal was just to kind of get a lay of the land as to where the program was at the time. And so Junior and I physically visited many of the various departments around the municipality and got in contact with them just to see where they stand. One thing we noticed was that just due to the high turnover from the municipality over the last, who knows how long, many of the departments weren't aware of the program at all. And then some of them didn't have a representative or didn't know their code, didn't know how to access the resources, various things. So the first thing that we had to do was ensure that every department had a representative and that they were aware of who they were, and that they were aware of who I am and what the program is. Once we kind of got through that, the next thing was to ensure that everybody had the resources that they need to conduct the job, and then to both plan and conduct a training, which we conducted last week. So we identified a language access representative for almost 100% of the departments around the municipality, the front-facing departments. They've been given the resources they need, including the code and the contact information for LanguageLink, which is the service that we use. And then on top of that, they've been given training, and they're aware of my existence and my contact information. So if they have any questions from here on out, they know what to do. Beyond that, there's still a lot of work to be done to ensure that the program is where it needs to be. But again, the main focus in the beginning was ensuring that there was a program and that the various representatives around the municipality were aware of it and know how to use it. And I believe that's where we are today. And so I'm happy with the work we've been able to accomplish so far.
Can I speak? Okay. Hello, I'm Erica Berry. I'm the director of the Office of Equal Opportunity. I guess I will just give a little backstory. I worked at the municipality for 10 years. Actually, I think this month, 10 years. And I've actually been in the same office. My prior role was the DBE officer investigator. And I became the director in September, 2022. And I've spoken a couple of times in front of the assembly. The roles, and really no one understands, I don't think that many people understand, the roles of the Office of Equal Opportunity at the municipality of Anchorage. I think a lot of it is because the name of the office, but also Rashad, who's online, which I appreciate being here. He is basically the city's counterpart. He works the state DOT office, civil rights office. So the main priority of the Office of Equal Opportunity, in my opinion, since I've been there, is to ensure federal compliance. The municipality receives federal funding from FTA, FA, and FHWA. Our direct funding is from FTA and FAA, so we are required to have Title VI plans, language access plans, I just got back from Washington, D.C. last month. I've built a very close relationship with our civil rights agents that oversee our programs and to ensure that we're in compliance. So back in 2022, and I was, like I said, I've been here 10 years. I've been familiar that there was a language access program, municipal program created, I believe is under Mayor Berkowitz's office, is what the PMP states. And I know the lady that used to run the program, it was her full-time job. I met her a couple of times, but like I said, I'm more involved in the federal side, not really the municipal side. And so I knew there was a program, a PMP, the OEO office obviously has a language access plan. So when I believe we received a reporting form from AWU on language access, the chief equity officer had sent it to me, and I was, I'm like, I've never seen this before, let's look into what it is. So we found the policy and procedure, obviously found all the department's language access plans, and I'm like, this is a big job. And I'm an office of one. It used to be housed in the mayor's office, is what the policy and procedure said. And so my suggestion was, we need to find someone in the mayor's office to do it with what the PMP states, because it is a huge job. It's going through 20 to 30 department language access plans, ensuring people know what it is, which we found was a huge issue because a lot of the people that worked in the community that had the codes or whatnot were no longer working in those departments. And so that was difficult. And so all that to say, moving forward, at that time, I just sent emails to directors asking them to update their language access plans. We printed off all of the posters and made sure that every municipal department had a poster and understood, that if someone came into their office or whatnot, how to use the language link and to find the codes. And so since then, I've kind of just been a support. Like I said, I do this more on the federal level, so that is kind of my role here, but I've been happy to support Michael, and he's created a great slideshow presentation in Junior and just try to assist them with the program at the municipality.
Yeah, so thank you, both of you, for the work that you guys have been doing. As you can tell, it was a process that we had to pick up and kind of create and develop moving forward. Another thing that it needs to be mentioned is that the resource is also online on the Office of Equity and Justice for anybody that would like to look at the different language access plans and then also learn about it. And then also, if anybody wants to file a complaint, there's also there as well. But other than that, I appreciate my team here. If there's any questions, we're open to have one here.
That's great. Thank you so much, all of you. Do you want to start back?
Sure. First, I want to thank you, Mr. Junior, for responding to our request to come and to bring some associates with you to share. Many of our committee have been concerned about the language access component because it's important with interfacing with the municipality. And glad to have this young gentleman on board. And did I understand you to say that you were director/liaison?
Liaison.
Okay, all right. I thought you said you were director of the department or what have you. And, okay, my other question would be, as far as the guidelines, the plans, and I heard you say they're online for anybody to see relative to each department. And I think it's good that each department has to have some kind of plan in place. But my specific question is, did you guys give an overall sample of the guidelines you'd like to see, or did they just have to come up with it?
Yeah, so in 2018, when the language access plan was developed within the mayor's office, that was kind of utilized as the language access plan that everybody go off of. Now, we do encourage every single department to kind of do their own research, to kind of look into their specific area. And what we do is we go and make sure that they follow the guidelines that was placed in 2018.
Okay, and then my follow-up is relative to those plans being in place now. My understanding is that for quite a season, there were not any. And so what is specifically outside of loss of funds, are the repercussions for not having a plan in place?
So I'm not 100% sure where you're getting that information as far as there were no language access plans. Like Erica mentioned, there's been a revolving door within every single department, so that process has gotten lost within different departments because that individual, the liaison, wasn't there to be able to kind of answer the questions for that department. We've been able to create a process, Nassim can kind of talk about it, where we actually have a master list for every single department. We also have a master list of the codes, because there is a process once the different departments call for the resource. It's called Language Link. You probably see these big old posters in different departments where it's like, point your language. Well, there is a process on how to utilize that resource. And Mr. Nassim has gone through that training last week to make sure that every department, every liaison is aware of that. And we look to make it multiple times within the year, because we understand that it is a revolving door and that position does change within departments. So we want to ensure that that representative in every department is always active.
Yeah, and I would follow up and say that my question was not in the form of any kind of attack. And I think my direct statement was it had been out of kilter for quite some time. I didn't have any information that it was non-existent or anything like that. So just my understanding is, and you even stated, that you guys are bringing it up to speed.
Absolutely.
And up to compliance. And so that was the thrust from my question. And then the follow-up was, what are the repercussions outside of lack of funding for not having plans?
So that's where I think there has been a lot of confusion. The municipal language access plan that's required by all municipal departments has nothing to do with our federal funding. So we, every 3 years, like last year, we just went through a federal triennial review with transit, and a part of that is a Title VI review, where we have our own, I would say it's hard to, but separate from the municipality. And we've had it for 10 years or more, ever since we've received funding, is that those plans and Title VI plans that include language access have really had nothing to do with the municipal language access program. So when we do get audited or whatnot, they don't look at the city as a whole and all of the departments. They're just looking, for example, that Merrill Field has Title VI plans, language access plans, meets all ADA. They don't look at really any other departments. And that, I think, is what my concern has been, is I just deal with the federal stuff, but in looking at the PNP, the language access liaison for the entire city is someone in the mayor's office, which obviously there is a lot of change over there with any administration. And so I think when I was asked to help look into this, I remember going upstairs to the muni manager and the assistants up there, and I don't even think Michael was up there at that time, and I'm like, hey, did you see a box or any files that said language access or anything? And there was nothing there. And so I think that was definitely a concern that I wanted to bring forward, is the municipal language access program that was created. I mean, I would love to see it continue to thrive, and it's just hard with a lot of changeover. So that was one thing that, we had discussed, was the PMP says it's someone in the mayor's office, how to kind of get that out of the mayor's office to ensure that, when people leave, there's still documents that can be found and whatnot.
Yeah, and I guess my question would probably have been better stated by asking what would be the repercussions for not having a plan, instead of sounding like I'm saying what are they for not having already. I wasn't speaking in the past.
Yes.
What would be the repercussions?
So typically what will happen is, actually at the end of June, we are getting a informal FAA audit. There's 16 representatives coming up from DC, Seattle, all over. They're mainly focusing on the state this time, but we did have a review back in, I believe it was 2017, and where they come and, like I said, they go to the airport, they look at your language access programs, Title VI, ADA, all of that. If they find you're not in compliance, usually if you're responsive, which I probably call them at least once a month to make sure that we're on good terms and that they're not looking for anything. If you're responsive, they will just tell you what needs to be changed and whatnot. I have to submit these Title VI plans and language access plans to them for them to receive and review and approve. So if they're not approved, they will reject them and send them back. But if it was never done or you don't respond to them, they could possibly withhold your funding, which has happened over 10 years ago. So.
Except for maybe one thing.
Oh, wait,
It's
there's
Michael.
you online.
Is it Michael? What is?
My middle name's Michael, so I go by that if Nasib's a bit tricky for people.
Would you spell that last name?
My last name is El-Khoury Hana. It's EL-KHOURY, and then there's a space there, HANNA.
Thank you, sir.
You good?
I'm good.
Great. Okay. Let's go to Joan, and then we'll go online to Felix. And Jasmine, can you click on the view all so I can see who the other person is? Lena. Okay, great. So Joan, Felix, Lena.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. My question is about the audit that was done. I know that there were 4 specific recommendations. So my question is, what is the deadline you have to adopt the recommendations? And are there any stages that you plan on implementing those recommendations?
Yes, with Scott Lee's report, with what we just kind of presented today, it kind of addressed most of those concerns and recommendations that Nasib and also Erica kind of mentioned, and what we've been doing since then. So.
Yeah. And I know that it takes time, and that's why I was asking if you have a deadline on when to implement it, or you already implemented the 4 recommendations.
Majority of them have been addressed, but like I mentioned earlier, when we first got in office, we didn't have manpower, and that's like any other business, municipality, just getting people to be able to fill these positions, good people that were able to do the job right, and having Michael Nasib to be able to fill that role. We've been kind of rolling on all cylinders to be able to kind of address the needs and make sure this is available.
Okay, so you're working on the 4 recommendations.
Like I mentioned earlier, some of those have been answered already, but to really completely answer all those questions, it'll take a little more time. Yeah.
Okay, and do you have a deadline for that, or?
Well, when it's done correctly and right, that's my deadline. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to Felix, and then Lena, Cameron, and SI, I can see your hand up as well. So Felix, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks much. So I have a variety of questions. So feel free to hook me and tell me to shut up if you need to, Thea, or Pastor May. So just one clarification. And that's specific to the language access policy 16-16 adopted in September 1st of 2018. When that language access policy was adopted in 2018, it did require departments, if they were frontline departments, to have language access plans. So that is something from the very beginning that has been required. Also, the language access policy 16-6 does reference Presidential Executive Order 13166, which was issued on August 11th, 2000, which does require any state or local agency that receives federal funding to examine the services they provide, identifying any need for services to those with limited English proficiency. So, well, I understand that Erica is specifically talking about the program that she manages, which primarily deals with DOT, FAA, those kinds of departments. I still have a question regarding other federal funds which pass through to us and the possible loss of those funds if we are not in compliance with Title VI and the Presidential Executive Order 13166. So that is something that is still, for me, up in the air. And then Erica mentioned slides. Do we have slides, or is this presentation verbal?
Felix, there weren't any slides presented. I thought you were referring to slides that's part of the training that you were giving to the departments? Yeah, okay, that's what they were referring to.
Okay. I'll just keep going until you tell me to stop. So, next question I have is, one of the audit findings specifically talked about frontline departments and the need to update the identification of frontline departments. So, this may be a long list, but can you please speak to what the administration defines as frontline departments, and do you have a comprehensive list of those?
So the frontline departments are listed on the Office of Equity and Justice. This is a conversation that me and Nassim have talked about, updating that, because we think that frontline departments, we need to definitely expose it to departments that are exposed to individuals coming in and out to departments. There are a few departments that don't have as many citizens coming in and out of the facilities that we've talked about. Like I mentioned, that's still in the works.
Okay, got it. So then, if I'm interpreting what you said correctly, then under the language access page on the Office of Equity and Justice, it lists language access plans by department. I will note, and this is very alarming to me, that of these, there are 3 which do not have links. I don't know if that means that there are not departments or if there's just a broken link or what's going on, but the police department does not have a link to a language access plan, and that is very alarming to me. They should be the top department to have a language access plan, and that should absolutely 100% be on this page, and it is not currently.
Felix, can we
pause
it? Let's pause for a second there and just address that question. So does the police department have a language access plan, and do you want to speak to why?
Yes, I'll have the CEO answer the question.
They utilize their own language interpretation service. They don't use language like they were still a part of the training, just so that they were aware of how the municipality does it, but they utilize something other than language link. So they don't have a plan there.
Sorry, why wouldn't their plan then just describe the translation services that they do offer?
We could make that available, I suppose. I would have to speak with their representative over there and see, but no, they have their own kind of program that they follow.
Yeah, so I think maybe what Felix is saying is that, and I think what others would want to see is that whatever language access plan they have, whether or not they're using language link, that be available to the public. So
yes, and that can be handled.
Okay.
We've been working with our IT department to kind of get those updated as well. As we were updating individuals within the language access plan, we also made that request to IT to get that filled in for those 4 different departments that Felix mentioned. Thank you.
Great, awesome. Felix, did you have one other question? And if not, we'll go to the other.
Oh, I have several more, but I'm going to stop now because there are other folks who want to talk.
Okay, sounds good. We can come back to you if we still have time. Next person was Lena, and then Cameron, and then Issa.
Yeah, I apologize for coming in late, so maybe this question was already answered. So right now, what is the plan for departments that do not follow, I guess, language access policy? When somebody comes in requesting services, and the reason why I'm asking is about 12 days ago, I had a situation where somebody needed language access, I guess, to a police officer. I looked for somebody who spoke Spanish, and that person was not available. So the message was, if I don't answer your call within 3 days, call my supervisor. My days off are Sunday, Monday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that leaves me with 4 days, I guess, 4 business days. So when I don't hear from this person, on the 4th day, I call the supervisor. And the supervisor's message is the same. So if you don't hear from me within 3 days, call the other number. And then my days off are Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it just goes on and on and on. 12 days later, last night at about 10 p.m., I got a call from the supervisor. What happens if this is a situation where this person is in danger?
Well, first I want to apologize, Lena, that you're going through this situation. You had to go through that situation. One, I'm available. My contact information is always available to the public. And then two, the language access to a form online to file a complaint of any situation like this is also online. I think we will do a better job in getting that information out to groups and the public to ensure that if any complaints like this, different departments are happening, we'll be able to address that with the file complaints online. I know in the previous past it's been difficult to kind of access that. We kind of broke that barrier now to where it's available for community members to be able to access it underneath the Office of Equity and Justice.
And so is the form in Spanish?
I believe there is a form.
The complaint form is translated into multiple.
I'll have Ms. Steve answer that question.
The complaint form online is translated into multiple different languages.
All right, I'll take a look.
Great, thanks, Dana. Cameron?
I guess I'm gonna try, see if it, okay, there we go. Let me just first say that I guess this is not what I expected, right? Is that when we have a presentation before our committee, typically there's visuals, there is sort of a plan in terms of what exactly you're here to do, and maybe that wasn't communicated as we should, but clearly the reason from my perspective you're here is because we got an audit that said that this policy is not being followed by the majority of the municipality, and it's in serious disarray. And so my understanding was that this was an opportunity for you to come and say, we read the report, we've identified all the areas, and here's what we're doing specifically to address each one of these things that was outlined in that. And here's our plan, here's our timeline, this is where we're at. And that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a lot of really vague comments about this. But I mean, I'll just give you a few examples. You know, the reporting is due from each department on July 31st. That's in a couple of months. That has not happened in years. The report from the mayor is due September 31st. Will those happen? That when you say that this is saying that 5 out of 30 of the departments do not have reps. How many now have reps? Specifically, how many? And if they don't have reps, which ones are there? 18 out of 30 did not have effective programs. Which ones now have effective programs? So this is what I'm a little bit confused about. Is that I appreciate you being here and I appreciate the conversation, but I haven't gotten any information that's allowed me to understand that this report that really demonstrates that we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing and what we're doing about it. And so that's, I guess, what I'm missing. And if we need to schedule a different time for you to come back in order to really address that, then we can certainly do that. But I guess that's my concern is that as Felix, we can go through a whole list of things. Training, you mentioned training. Who was trained? Were all the departments trained? Are there still training that needs to be done? What was the training that was done? So that's, I guess I don't expect an answer to all of that. But overall, I would just say that I appreciate you're here. Really, I appreciate you. I appreciate that you're in the position, and I appreciate we're talking about this because we haven't been for a long time. So that I'm happy about that. I'm happy that we're addressing something that's very important. But I think we need to get to the place where we're really having a better understanding of exactly what needs to be done, what hasn't been done, and where we are with that. So happy to hear your response, but that's my sort of statement without a real question. Go ahead, Junior.
Thank you, President Padilla. Appreciate it. I think it's important to note when Scott did his report that these findings were from many years before we got in office. And I think today, Naseed and also Erica did a great job in talking about the progress that we have been making as far as the updates to be able to get the language access up to speed with every department. I think Naseed answered that question when we went to every single department, make sure that we're physically in front of the individual that's going to be part of that. We also talked about the different training that that has been planned and also has been executed. Last week, Steve also mentioned that as well. We talked about 100% of those departments took part of that. And we were able to get every single one of those departments the slides, the information they needed in order for them to have access to the language access or resource that every department had. Erica did a great job, and when she took this directive that I gave her about a few years when I got in, to be able to ensure that every single department had a language access plan, one. And then two, when Nasib got on board, we ensured that that individual is recorded down within Nasib's log list. So we have that information. We'd love to provide that for you, first read it, and make sure we forward that to you.
Yeah, no, I would appreciate that, and I think that, again, the precision is really important. You said 100%. So currently, 100%, all 30 departments currently have an updated plan, and all 30 departments have a representative. Is that correct?
What I said was about 100% went through the training last week.
How many went through the training?
I'll let Nasib answer that.
Take a look at my inbox.
Okay, right.
We can provide that information for you.
Okay, I think what would be really helpful is if you developed a report. That's what I think would be helpful, and that way we can look at the report and be able to have a conversation and help understand.
Thank you.
Yes.
Issa, you're next. Issa, are you still there?
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry.
That's great.
Sorry. We're gonna get under 3 and I'm trying to do 2 things at once. I didn't want to miss this, and so I want to thank Junior for being here, but this is really important for the people I serve. I'm the state refugee coordinator here in Alaska, and clearly, I just want to say thanks for being here. I want to thank the municipality for doing the audit, and frankly, we wouldn't be having the conversation. And I just want to know that there's a lot about how we're going to fix it in the future, but I just want to verbalize the deep inequities that run through these communities, their lack of access to governmental programs, their lack of access to services. And I can't stress enough how much money came to the municipality in the last 2 years with COVID and IRFA dollars, and all these other things, that systemically we have to acknowledge our communities did not get access to it the same way that others in this community had access to. And I'm so dismayed by that, and every day we work with people who are trying to do this. Like, I'd love to introduce you to the business owners who are trying to open businesses in this city who are trying to build our community up and can't get access to how to do permitting by the basic departments. And so I guess my biggest question is this. We can talk a lot about like what happened and whose fault it was, but you know, the municipality is always going to have transition. It's always going to have changeover, either inside of administration themselves or administration change, because that's how government works. What is getting put into place to ensure in those changeovers this doesn't happen again and the ball just gets dropped and we go, oops, well now we know we're going to do something about it. These are actual people who need actual services. So what's the plan in the transitions that are happening to ensure we don't end up in a meeting in 3 years again doing the same exact thing? Thanks.
Thank you, Issa. Also, thank you for the work that you do. Appreciate it very much. What we've been doing as far as is creating a structure to ensure that that structure is in place, whether we're here or not. Whether new administration comes in, that there's going to be a format, there's going to be a process on how the training is, and then also how individuals are recorded, and then also how the process is. So we've been able to create that online process through the Office of Equity and Justice, so the public has access to the language access plan, and then also the complaint forms, those kind of things. And then also with having the language access liaison present, we'll have that program that Mr. Percival Diaz is talking about that we'll be able to have in place for whoever's in office.
Great, thank you. Any other yeah, Taki, go ahead, Taki.
Thank you, Sienna. Thank you, Junior, and your team for being present. So, a lot of my community, this community, specifically the community that we serve, have language needs. looking at the report, the 2024 report, it looks like the Alaska Native community does not have any translation using this link, because what it sounds like to me is that the plan that everyone has is connected to like go onto this link. Has any of you that is currently sitting in front of me sat down with someone and actually gone through this link, this translation language access link? So that would be my first question. Has anyone sat down with someone and actually gone through and like listened to how they translate materials and then go from there? Has anyone done that in your team?
I'm kind of lost what the question is. Say that, sorry, I didn't hear it.
Just that I think Taki's asking, has anyone on your team tested how well Language Link works by sitting down with someone who needs to use it for translation and kind of understanding? And probably it'd be best if you also understood the language that was being translated to know if it was doing a good job or not.
Yeah, so the language access liaison is that individual for every single department. And my team, we haven't actually sat with anybody to be able to do those resources. But if they did come to our department, we would obviously be able to do that for them. But we have worked with different departments to ensure that they had translation. So when they contact my office or they contact the CE, we ensure that we walk them through the process to be able to help individuals in case they need that help.
Anyone else with that?
Okay, so my next question would be, are these liaisons or leads? Because very often, if you're adding a job on top of someone else's job in a municipality, it sounds like these liaisons are already working for the municipality. Have we ensured that they're paid equitably for this additional service that you're providing for the municipality?
Yes, thank you, Taki. I think we mentioned earlier about the manpower to be able to have a language access liaison up in the mayor's office, but also throughout departments. I think this is definitely a deeper conversation, maybe for the assembly and oncoming mayor, that can be happened. But currently, every single department has to designate somebody in their department to be able to carry this out so that the resources are available. We've been able to identify every single person within the municipality to ensure that that process is followed through.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like these folks who may be majority of folks that usually do language translation work is normally people of color. And so I would encourage your office, Junior, since you're still in office, I would encourage you to look into that to ensure that these folks are actually actively paid for the work that they're doing or the additional task of being this liaison. The last thing that I want to ask is who in your team is holding the departments accountable? And what does that accountability look like? Because you can look at reports and you can look at a plan, but holding people accountable to ensure that this plan is followed, like who's doing that in your team and how is that done? And what is the plan about like making sure that the accountability is happening?
Yeah, so that's the whole reason why we got Nasib here today. Nasib is the individual that is the liaison that holds every single language access liaison accountable. There's going to be monthly reports that is reported to Mr. Nasib here. Whether they use that resource or not, they will still have to report to Mr. Nasib whether they use it or not. And then Nasib does a great job in follow-up. As you can tell, we've identified every single language access liaison within the municipality to ensure that the resources that we have for residents is efficient.
Thanks. So I see your hand up, so is that for another question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one more thing. Speaking of like slides and presentations, if possible, I'd like to see what training was provided, the slides of what was training was. There's a lot that goes into language access beyond simply knowing how to dial a phone number to get a hold of the language interpreter on Language Link. What's the cultural awareness and knowledge? What's the signage that's being produced? Like, what kind of questions are we asking? Are we offering an interpreter proactively, or are we waiting for one to be requested? What was the training? How did it look? Who developed it? And I just want to say, like, this committee exists because there are experts in this community who understand language access, and like we could have been consulted on to review those slides before training occurred or other things. And so if possible, I'd like to see the trainings if they could be shared with this committee.
Sounds good, thank you, Lisa.
And it's really easy to share things with this committee, you just share them with Jasmine and then she sends them out,
Yes.
so that would be great. Okay, Joan, and then Cameron? Okay.
Yeah, I actually want to pick it up from what Kathy said. Right now, in some departments, you have frontline workers that are actually translating some of the documents. And do you know if they're being paid adequately to what they're doing?
The answer to that question is no. They're
not.
No.
Is it possible to add that to the report that you guys are going to send as well?
We would have to get more information on individuals that are doing that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just a couple of things real quick. We're just looking through the different plans. It looks like the Office of Equal Opportunity has a brand new plan, so I appreciate that. That's really updated. The library is still back in 2018. But yeah, I just wanted to really reemphasize the point of this isn't really I don't think the purpose of this committee is as much as an oversight committee as a partnership committee. And I think that's really an important point is that this committee wants to be involved and wants to make sure that we have language access and it's done well and that it's comprehensive and all of that. So I think that bringing really good information back to this committee and figuring out ways for them to support this being a better service for our municipality is exactly the goal. So I would really encourage both for this committee and for the Assembly at large an actual formal reply to the audit that really details what's been done and the plan to continue to grow it and improve it over time. I think, and even with the transition, we don't know what's going to happen with this transition, but even if it's somebody different in whatever role, you give them something to then really build on. So I think that would be my recommendation is utilize this committee to the degree you can and reach out to them because I think they'll be a huge resource in helping to improve language access. So I appreciate the work that has been done so far. I would just encourage both a really good report and some recommendations moving forward and use the committee to think about what kind of recommendations they would have added to that. Thanks.
And just on that note, you're welcome to join us anytime. And that type of collaboration will happen better the more we get to know each other. So, and Cameron's absolutely right, and what Issa said is absolutely right. Normally we also have ALP here who does tons of this. Joan, almost everyone who's on this, many people on this committee work in this area. So it'd be wonderful to have a more collaborative relationship. Hannah, and then Pastor May.
Yes, thank you. I had kind of a three-part question. Is the Anchorage Health Department considered a frontline entity? Do they have a language access plan, and where would I find this?
Yes, they are considered, and yes, they do have a plan. You can find their plan on the Office of Equity and Justice, and there's a tab that says language access.
Thank you, Junior.
Welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly follow up on what I was hearing from Felix and Cameron, and it sort of seems to me and sounds like that, as I was forestating earlier, that the language access plans and as it relates to departments had been kind of helter-skelter and way back in the whenevers kind of thing. And so that's what I was trying to establish earlier. And the other thing is that I want to get back to, and again, I want to say thank you guys for coming again, but I want to get back to the question raised about the reporting or complaints, filing a complaint or what have you. And you did mention earlier that the complaint form is online for anybody who needed to fill out a form, get a response. But has there been any directives handed down as to how soon someone has to respond to that complaint?
Yes, as soon as the complaint has come through, I've directed that it be addressed. To answer your questions about the complaints, we've had none.
Okay, and who's assigned to respond to those complaints?
Missy.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Issa, your hand's still up. Is that, do you have another question?
Sorry, no, that's old.
Okay. Lena, go ahead.
So I guess my question is, you have no complaints because people are not filing complaints, or because they don't know that they can file a complaint?
Well, we can speculate about multiple reasons, but this form was created in 2018. So this form's been created in 2018 when I inherited about 2.5 years ago. I hadn't received any complaints through the form from any departments about not having a language access plan or being mistreated from any departments.
Okay, I think not until the audit results came about, it's when I first heard that there was such a thing. So I'm going to say that probably not very many people know about the right to have language access for the departments. I mean, I'm just frustrated. I'm frustrated because it seems that no matter how the questions are asked, the answer is just not satisfactory.
Lena, do you have something you want to ask that hasn't been spoken to yet?
No, I just feel that we're talking about something that should be part of daily life for people that need the services, and somehow not only do we not know about them, there is no way to access them.
Would you like me to respond?
Sure.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that you're experiencing that, and we obviously look to fix that with the progress that we've been making. The way we've been doing that is making sure that it's more accessible for the city. What I mean by that is the language link posters that you see in every single department, we ensure that every single department had it available so that it's visually available for individuals to point at the poster and say, I speak this language, or they point at the language, and the department is there to be able to assist them through a language access liaison. Other things that we've been able to do is to be able to promote this online, virtually. We've been able to promote it on my website. We're working on a plan to develop to promote it on OEO and also with our partners and communities, with this committee as well. So those are the progress that this team has been able to do in the last 2.5 years to ensure that language access is accessible to everybody within the municipality, where you're a coworker or a resident of the municipality.
And I guess one thing I hear in people's comments today is that we need to do that a lot more. And again, that's the place where this committee can be really helpful, because many people on this committee are kind of conduits to bigger networks and communities. And so, for example, if you wanted to generate materials like social media posts or flyers that were translated in different languages, then this committee would be a great way to get those out to the people that Lena's speaking about who don't know that this is even a right.
Absolutely, we would love that partnership.
Yeah,
committee.
that would
We
be
love that partnership outside of this. We've already been doing that, engaging with other individuals as well, but we'd love to have the committee part of that to be able to connect with Steve and get current updated information.
Awesome. So I think we're about out of time for this topic. I guess I wanted to ask the committee, would it be helpful to maybe invite you all back, not next month because the health department's coming, but maybe the month after, to kind of talk again about progress and ways we could work together? Would
So,
that be?
Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
We'd love to put our updates in a formal way that Ms. Perez-Villa talked about, and we'd love to submit that to you. We kind of spoke about all the great updates that we've been doing, the progress we've been doing, and if we needed to put that in the writing form, we'd love to, Mr. Perez-Villa, and give it out to the committee. If you feel like that's insufficient, and you need us back to explain in writing form what we've been doing, we'd be happy to come back, but we'd love to submit that to Perez-Villa in a written form so that you guys have it on record.
I would like to address that and say, along with the written report that you give out, it would be probably kosher from my vantage point that you guys would come and walk us through whatever it is that you're reporting, rather than have us try to figure it out on the fly, what's being stated and so forth and so on, and create more questions.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty generally practice when an audit like this happens that the administration responds to the audit in a formal way. So I would that's what I'm looking for, is a formal response that would not just come to this committee, but come to the full assembly. And I want to just go back to something. I'm going to interpret the positivity and the sort of hopefulness that's coming from you as a good thing. I just want to go back, as you've been saying, 2.5 years. American in office in 2021, right? The report shows very little, if anything, has been done up until the report was filed. Then people were hired, things started to happen, training happened, and I'm not saying that's your fault. I'm not blaming it. I just want to make the records clear that when you come back and say, I don't want to go backwards in time, but the work that you've been doing, which I appreciate, started because of this report, and because it was highlighted as something that we needed to be doing and we're doing. So I just wanted to make sure that that's, and you may not agree with that, and that's okay.
Yeah, I don't.
But I think that's clearly what this report says, is that all the things that you've been talking about doing were not happening. The departments didn't have updated plans, that there was not people who were assigned, that people weren't aware of it. So that's why I think there's so much energy around this, because we learned, gosh, we haven't been doing what we should be doing, and now let's start doing it. So.
Well, and actually I just want to add that this committee really multiple times tried to speak with the Office of the Audit and really try and put the fire under getting the audit completed. So this committee is particularly interested in this topic. So again, it's not to be oppositional, it's not to call anybody out. It's because, as many people have said, this is a super important topic and we want to work with you to resolve it. So let's move on from that topic on the agenda, because we have a couple more things, but I just want to thank you all again for being here and welcome you back at any meeting. So.
Yes, I just want to say I have documentation, I have timelines, any information that you guys want. I'm available at any time, so if you want me to come back, I'm more than happy to come back and speak at any time.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So next topic on the agenda is our committee updates. So we want to go around and do member updates first, and then we want to just take a minute out of that to continue to prepare for what's happening in August, which is we're going to select new co-chairs, and we also then need to do a review of our charter in August. So let me just first go to folks online. What updates from your communities and from your organizations would you like to share? And why don't I actually just go through the list to make sure everybody has a chance, and if you don't have anything to share, that's fine, you can just say pass. Lena, can we start with you? Any updates on activities or events?
Jody's here, she'll probably share with you guys that we're working real hard on putting together our Hispanic Heritage Month events. And she'll probably share more. Other than that, just publishing the newspaper and trying to put out information on what's going on in those languages, because somebody's gonna do it, right? So that's it for me.
Thank you, Lena.
Felix, we'll come back to you in a minute. Issa? Any updates?
Yep, just an update that next month is World Refugee Day month, and so the party will be on June 27th. It will be from 4 to 7:30 at Grove North Farm. I think that might conflict, unfortunately, with this meeting. I'm not sure. But it's invite everybody to come. It should be really, really fun, and we can celebrate again another huge arrivals number to Alaska of forced migrants fleeing for safety. So there'll be all the information on cssalaska.org, and then I'll also send, once we have the calendar for June, we're hosting a number of other events and things that people can get involved in. I'll send that to Jasmine to add to the calendar. Thanks.
That's awesome. Thank you, Issa. Piana, anything you want to update the committee around?
I will pass. Thank you.
Thanks, Piana. Oh, thank you. That's easier. Coffee, any events you want to share?
I'm sorry. So, happy AAPI month, everyone. And so I think we had our event in beginning of this month, and then I know that MC Flag Day is happening this Saturday. To close that celebration for AAPI month. And then a plug for PCA. If you haven't gone to Coffee Queen, there's a coffee shop. We are working on a fundraiser with them. So in honor of AAPI month, they wanted to have a drink that is called Moana May, right? For the month of May. So go over and buy a drink, and 25% of that will support the work of the Civic Community of Alaska. Thanks.
That's so awesome. Can you say the name of the coffee shop again or put it in the chat?
It's called Coffee Queen, and it's across from Houlihan on Fire.
Oh, and Ruby. Okay, cool. Thank you. Teresa, any updates or events you want to share?
Not today, thanks.
Thank you. Brittany? Let's go to Marie.
Yes, thank you. There's a few of us Filipinos from different organizations, and for this year being a big election year, we would like to do some sort of kind of outreach educational presentation and training on ranked choice voting. So if there are other groups who would like to collaborate with us, and of course it would be somehow, there will be translation, so I don't know if it's possible to do it with different groups and different languages, but it's definitely worth exploring. So please reach out if you have ideas or if you'd like to collaborate. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Marie. Can you, one thing we have to remember with our committee is our emails have to go through Jasmine, unless we're happy for them to be public record, which is fine too. So, Marie, maybe you can just make sure Jasmine has your contact info so she can put that out to the committee.
Sounds good. Yes, I will. And I'll put it in the chat too for people online.
Great. Thank you. Lupe, any updates you want to share? Okay, let's go to Joan.
Thank you, Tia. And Marie, we will be happy to collaborate with you for the ranked choice voting. So I will be definitely reaching out.
Sounds good. Looking forward to that.
I don't have much for now. We're participating on this Saturday at the Pacific Islander event. It's the 25th Saturday at the Park Street. And we are working hard, Lynn is working very hard as well to be able to secure funds to our exhibition that is going to be at the museum in October. So we're going to do a project called Nuestra Huella, our footprint. So we're working very hard on securing funds and working on the exhibition. And we're also going to have our FISA fundraiser in October for Hispanic Heritage Month, and we're also going to have a women empowerment event that same morning in Spanish. We're going to have a Latino community health fair, And I believe that's it for now. But when we have the flyers and more information, I'll definitely send it to Jasmine.
Great, thank you. Pastor
Hi there.
David. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I
No, go
couldn't
ahead.
find where, turn off my mic, I'm not used to Teams. So, may I interrupt, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to share an update?
I do, and I don't have an update, but I do have an event coming up, we all do, it's called the Run for Women, the Alaska Run for Women. This is the 33rd or 32nd year. So I think it's important for all women to get out there and walk or just be noticed to show how strong we are. I also have experience, I'm glad Lena invited me to this meeting because I've had 8 years on the board of the ACLU Alaska affiliate, 2 years being treasurer, 2 years being equity officer, and now I've been voted in as an at-large member for the national board. I served on the national board for the affiliate while I was with the affiliate, and now as a national board at large, for example, working on a committee to update their Indigenous justice policy. So this is all very interesting and it means a lot to me. So I just want to thank Lena for inviting me and thank all of you for your service.
Great, thank you. Thanks for being here. Pastor May, you want to give an update?
Yes, I was going to say thanks for that prompt just a second ago. Something that's been kind of concerning to me. I heard you say I don't have an update, and then you went with your announcement. I think we ought to change that from updates to committee announcements, and I think that would be more preferable for us because when it comes to updates, all we're doing is making announcements about what's going on in the community. And so I heard when she said I don't have an update, but then she made an announcement. I've been wanting to change that forever.
Okay, great. We can do
So maybe we can do that. Yeah. And we do have an ABC member here, Alaska Black Caucus. Yep. But anyway, on tonight at the Nave, there's a Black Wellness Forum with various speakers, and that'll be tonight at 6:30 at the Nave. And well, it starts at 6 for interaction, refreshments, and but the forum proper starts at 6:30.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that.
And so anyway, that's going on tonight, and then on the 14th of excuse me, let me skip back to another ABC function on the 17th of June. ABC has a function in connection with the Chamber of Commerce on their Make It Monday event forum, and it's an Evan Aurora Awards Day. It's a luncheon, and that's on the 17th of June. I forget what time it is, but it's at the Denina Center. And then on the 14th of July, the MLK Foundation of Alaska is having their mid-year fundraiser at Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church.
And I'll just add one thing to that. Many organizations involved with Juneteenth, which is June 19th, which I think is a Wednesday this year, so it's the weekend before that. Am I saying that right?
16, 17, 18,
yes.
19.
Yeah, it's that whole weekend. Yeah. And there'll be health fairs, awesome stuff happening on the park trip, and then, like Pastor May said, Make It Monday on the Monday. Asher, anything you want to add?
No updates.
Great.
Okay, let's go on to our other two items here before we get to our assembly updates. These can be really quick. Pastor May and I keep bringing it up each meeting that according to our charter, if you look on page 4, the committee will select 2 co-chairs in August of each year to serve a 1-year term. So Pastor May and I have both served 2 years, and it says there no co-chair may serve for more than 2 consecutive terms. So this August, this committee will need to come up with 2 co-chairs, and like we said last time, I don't think either one of us are abandoning the committee. We'll both still be here. But I think we all decided that it's good practice to have other people in the co-chair seat. And we didn't really define in our charter how we choose our co-chairs. Oh no, we did, I'm sorry. Yeah. It says co-chairs will be selected by nominations from the committee. So I guess we didn't really say, I guess that happens in August. So people should just be thinking about who they want to nominate. I don't think there's any reason we couldn't self-nominate if people want to nominate themselves. Anything else you want to talk about that, Pastor Ray?
No, just would say it's a pleasure to serve.
It is.
And it's been good, and I do think fresh, I concur with that, even though Laura said something in the last meeting about changing the charter and keep it, but
Change the
I think we
constitution.
need to hit some new blood.
Yes, agreed. That would be great. So any questions or comments or discussion around that? Okay, and then the other thing, just to kind of keep on your radar, is that the other thing we do in August is do our annual review of our charter. And so Jasmine sent it out, and also we have it here in the room. We looked at this, I think the last time we looked at it was probably last August. Yeah, because we did it like a 6-month review before that. But so be looking at that to think about any updates or changes you want to propose to the committee. And with that, I think we can hand it over to our 2 assembly members for updates you want to share with the committee. Do you want to start us off, Cameron?
No, I think I'll have Felix go
Okay.
first.
Felix, go ahead.
Sure. So I am happy to talk about a few things. I am going to list off the things I'm going to talk about, and then if folks have other things they want me to talk about, just let me know. So I'll talk a little bit about what the sponsor has dubbed a bike equity ordinance, essentially dealing with electric bicycles. Talk a little bit about housing, homelessness, abatement, ACLUTNA, and a little bit on the budget. And I'll say I'll divide those issues with Karen. I don't need to speak on all of those. So with the electric bike equity ordinance, it is something that's put forward by Member not you, Karen, Member Martinez. And essentially, my understanding of it is that it does away with the paradigm of looking at electric bikes from a low speed, high speed paradigm, and instead just sets a metric. Anything above that metric is regulated a certain way. Anything below that metric is regulated a different way, and that's 500 watts. And you would have to talk to Member Martinez about some of his thinking and behind the ordinance and why he calls it a bike equity ordinance. I really can't speak to those issues, but certainly it's something that has been talked about frequently, about access to our trails and who gets access to them and how electric bikes play into that access. So that's one thing. On housing, the Next Step pilot program is going very well. I haven't looked up the numbers this week because I don't have a community council this week, but it'll just take me to, whoa, they changed the website. They have housed, it increased. So far they have housed and provided supports for 123 individuals since like December or so, which is good. And the Next Step pilot program is looking at potentially housing some more individuals. I think they have a goal of another 150 individuals to house this summer. I think we'll learn a little bit more about what that might look like in the future, in the coming weeks, but that is a goal that they have announced. When in regard to homelessness, I'll talk about homelessness and abatement and then I'll shut up. So with regard to homelessness, I think folks know that our emergency cold weather shelter system has been winding down. We have 3 main facilities. One of them is the Alex Hotel that closed earlier this month. On May 6th, they transitioned over to tourism. The Aviator's on a drawdown schedule, so they did have, I think it was like 270 individuals at their max, and they've been slowly, week by week, closing those rooms. And they are going to be down to 0 on May 31st, as they also, like any hotel, is transitioning over to tourism. Then our cold weather shelter, which is our 200-bed congregate shelter, the goal there is to keep that open temporarily year-round. So I say temporarily because SWS, which owns that facility, has plans for that in the long term. But at least I think they said through 2026, they're fine with the municipality using it for shelter purposes. But that one, thanks to a $4 million operational request that we succeeded in getting, in large part due to the Anchorage delegation's support, we are going to be able to keep that open. I will say caveat is, depending on what the governor does with the budget, he may veto those $4 million, in which case we are not going to be able to find the $4 million within the municipal budget to keep that facility open. So that'll be 200 individuals who will no longer have shelter. And for folks who are curious, that facility is packed. It's full all the time. I'm looking at the dashboard, and the latest update was from May 21st, is the latest census that's on the dashboard, and 200 people, so 0 beds available at that facility. So that is certainly, I think, a predicament if the governor does issue a veto on those dollars. But right now, things are looking good, and so we are keeping our fingers and toes crossed. Lastly, on abatement, I think folks maybe saw in the media that the Assembly passed an ordinance regarding abatement, and essentially it lays out a policy priorities for if abatement does happen, which to me is a very big questionable if, then abatement should happen in a certain set of policy priorities. Those being the first policy priority being protected uses, and there's a list of what those protected uses are. Things like greenbelts, trails, schools, playgrounds. There's a not too long list of those protected uses. Then the second priority is camps that are over 25 tents, lean-tos, or other similar structures. In a sense, the idea being if a camp gets too big, then negative things start happening in those camps. So we need to make sure that none of our camps get too big. So that's the second priority. The third priority being no camps within a half mile of a licensed shelter. That's done for the protection of the people in the shelter. And we have plenty of anecdotes and about the negative things that happen if there are camps close to shelters, and the victimization of the people in the shelters that happens. And then the fourth one is basically anything else that is normally abated, then that will happen. Again, this is all a big what if of if an abatement will actually happen. We're waiting, likely next month there will be a Supreme Court ruling that could possibly change how abatement is structured, but that's all sort of up in the air. We're going to wait and see what that Supreme Court ruling says and how we interpret it and how we enforce that Supreme Court ruling, or how enforcement might look like. So those are all questions to answer in the future. I'll leave it at that and turn it maybe over to Cameron to add what he wants.
Before I do, Felix, just a question came to me about response to municipal audits. Is there a policy in code that requires the administration to respond in a particular time or in a particular way around audits? And I know you're chair of the audit committee.
Yeah. So essentially, what happens with municipal audits is the audit itself carries with it the response from the administration. So the audit for language access has management comments, which is essentially the response from the administration. And it basically talks about what they're going to do in response to the audit findings. And they do that for every single finding, the management comments. Essentially what the process is if there is an audit audit that has significant enough findings, then there's typically a municipal audit committee held. In this case, this committee took place of that municipal audit committee. And we go through the findings and we maybe interrogate a little bit the management comments and are they doing what they said they would do? Talk a little bit about, okay, when's your timeline to get this or that done? And I think it's a little bit more oversight-ish than what occurred today. And then from there, we either put it to bed and we say, okay, we're satisfied with what we learned from that audit committee, or we maybe do some follow-ups, bring them back to a future committee, or ask for a follow-up audit to be scheduled. So that's traditionally how we deal with audits.
Thanks. One thought, one potential recommendation is that it can come out of this committee to bring a resolution forward to the assembly to require or ask for a formal response to that audit. So I'm happy to work with you on that, but I think that this is an opportunity, I think, for this committee to, because so much work was done to get the audit to happen and to follow up on it, to make sure that this doesn't get lost in transition. So just a thought I wanted to add. And then, well, the only other thing I'd add to my report is there will be a meeting of the Public Safety Committee on June 5th. There's been some debate about, or some conversation about whether to merge the Health and the Public Safety Committee. There will be a committee meeting on that date, and I do expect the interim chief of police to be there, and certainly it's an opportunity to learn more about some of the issues that we're seeing in our community right now, the officer-involved shooting, the release of body cam data, those kinds of things. So I just want to make the committee aware that it is going to move forward, and I will have a meeting with the interim chief tomorrow to discuss what we can do at that meeting and make sure we're getting information out. That's it.
I'm just going to pause to ask if there's any audience participation. Anyone? No? Okay. We just have a couple minutes left, but is there any kind of quick questions or response to Felix and Cameron? Okay, hearing none. Would the committee like to add the point that Cameron just made about considering, do we want to bring forward a resolution? Should we add that to our agenda for next meeting?
I would say yes. As you said, it could be lost in translation. So I think it would be a great idea.
Okay, we can add that under old business or unfinished business, sorry. And we can change committee updates.
Yeah, I second that. Dia, I second that idea. It is about accountability, and the Assemblyman's points are well taken. So I support that as well.
So we can formalize what we want to see.
Okay, we're just about out of time. Next committee meeting is this same time next month, and we'll be talking with the director of the health department and kind of using our committee work as a starting point, but it's going to be a pretty open discussion. And are there any last comments or questions from anybody? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
when you define director of the health department, are you referring to the medical director or the administrative director?
Yeah,
there are two different people.
Yeah, we're going to have Kim Rash, so she's not the medical director.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Great. Okay, thanks so much, everybody. Enjoy your evening and see you.